everybody. How you doing? This is Juan from the One-on-One Show, and this is the episode for today, February 9th, 2018. I got Laura Klosnner with me. Laura Klosnner is guardian ad litem, best interest attorney here in Seminole County, and invited us to Cubans on the Run. Cubans on the Run is actually pretty legit. I'm having a medianoche right now. Having ropa vieja, it looks like.
No, roast pork.
Roast pork. It looks good, and I apologize for eating, but I had to try it. It's a pretty legit medianoche. As you guys may know or may not know by now, I grew up in Miami, and it seems like my partiality for Miami and Cuban food has brought me to the first two episodes that we've actually incorporated the theme of food in has both been Cuban food. The first place.
Well.
I don't know if you saw the first episode. Mm-hmm. The first place was a Cuban-American cafe, which is located in our building in downtown Orlando, which is at 135 West Central Boulevard. And we're at Suite 445. Cuban-American Cafe is on the first floor. And here we got Cubans on the Run, which is in Seminole County. So now I know that if I got court in Seminole County, or if any of you guys got court in Seminole County, you can stop and get Cuban food at Cubans on the show. I appreciate
Thanks
it.
for having me.
Awesome. So tell us exactly what you do at the GAL.
So Guardian Ad Litem is a volunteer-based nonprofit state agency. So we are funded by the state as well as volunteer donations. We have a volunteer basis as our primary people involved, and then we also have case managers that are employed with GAL and best interest attorneys. And basically what we do is we advocate for foster care children that are in the dependency system.
And in your capacity at the GAL program for Seminole County, you're an attorney there, correct?
Correct.
If you guys don't know, Laura and I actually went to law school together at Florida A&M College of Law, class of 2008. It seems like that's just getting further and further away.
It does. It sounds so long ago.
I don't know if you're dying, but I'm starting to get them, the grays about here and here.
Oh, yeah. I think before I started law school, I was doing that.
People say you should, it's maybe time for just for men. But anyhow, so tell us about what is the number one problem, one of the pervasive problems that bring children into your program?
The number one problem bringing kids into foster care is drug abuse and substance abuse.
Any particular drugs?
Biggest of that right now is definitely opioids and heroin.
Okay. And do you find, so opioids, are we talking like OxyContin?
Exactly.
And what other,
exactly.
what else is in that family?
Opioids are essentially any drug that's either naturally derived or synthetically derived from the opium plant.
Okay.
So illegal drugs, we're talking about heroin.
Okay.
And legal drugs, we're talking about things like OxyContin, Vicodin, fentanyl, which we hear about a lot with heroin now. Methadone
I've often
as a
heard.
treatment even.
I've often heard of. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. I've often heard of OxyContin referred to as legal heroin. Does it have the same effect as heroin does? I mean, I'm not saying that you would know personally, but from the caseworkers or doctors that you've worked on, what have they said about that?
Yes, and that's what they're finding is that almost all of the heroin users that the police are finding out, they estimate 4 out of 5 heroin users actually started as legal prescription drug users of things like OxyContin, hydrocodone, Vicodin,
and
things
how,
like that.
How are they making the jump from legal use into illegal use? What happens? Is it a gap in insurance, or
it can be a number of things, and it goes both ways. You either have people who start as street abusing heroin users, who have gotten arrested, maybe spent the night in jail one too many times. They now just have discovered they can go to the pain clinics that have been so prevalent, especially in Central Florida, get a legal prescription for something like OxyContin, and just double or triple their own dose, crush it up, inject it like they would heroin. It has a faster, much stronger effect. So, or it's going the other way. You're getting people who had a back injury, had a surgery, something like that, that were OxyContin users who get addicted to that painkiller.
Right.
And maybe now they've lost insurance. Maybe their doctor has cut them off on refills, and they're now going out and becoming street heroin users.
Right.
So it's going both ways.
There's a lot of issues at play here. I mean, it's not just. It sounds. I suppose that you deal a lot with shelter petition hearings. Are you representing kids?
Right.
For those of you that don't know, a shelter petition is basically when the Department of Children and Families initiates an action on behalf of the state of Florida to shelter a child from their parents because of some type of abuse. And in that case, I tell you, I've only done one of those in my 8-year career as a practicing attorney, and I've never seen so many lawyers in the room.
Yeah.
It is incredible. It's like there's a lawyer that represents the best interest of the child. That would be you, correct?
That's me.
All right, so that would be Laura as a guardian ad litem would represent the best interest of the child. There's a lawyer that represents the Department of Children and Families. And there's a lawyer that represents the state of Florida, independent, correct? Is that, or am I?
But the department and the state are the same.
Correct.
And then there's a lawyer for each parent.
Each parent.
Step parent.
Right, so you can have 6 or 7 lawyers in the room.
Yes.
And then caseworkers.
Yes.
Right? So then you
caseworkers for us, caseworkers for the department.
So a typical hearing, how many people in the room for one case?
Typical dependency case, you probably have at least 4 attorneys.
Right.
And probably a total of 8 to 10 people.
It's amazing. That's incredible. And by the way, let me commend you for the work that you're doing, because I know that Laura, ever since she came out of law school, has really been committed to the interest of juveniles and children in the state of Florida. She spent how many years in juvenile court?
I spent almost 8 years with the public defender in the Ninth Circuit, and at least 6 of that was in juvenile.
Right.
So I'm now board certified in juvenile law. I got that last year.
And you spent all that time in those 6 years defending children
in delinquency.
Correct.
Right.
And those children that often have acting out become juvenile delinquents, quote unquote. They often have these same issues that you're talking about. So you're really kind of dealing with the same thing, but from a different perspective.
Yeah. It's
almost.
Just juvenile court has 2 sides to it: dependency, delinquency.
Right.
And drug abuse, substance abuse is prevalent in both.
Okay, and of course, with all the illegal narcotics and even in some cases with the legal narcotics or drugs that people are holding on to without prescriptions, I presume there's a lot of people that cross you, or a lot of parents that cross you that have pending criminal charges.
Yes.
Right.
I mean, very often, if there's been severe neglect or physical abuse involved, you have one or more of the parents with child abuse charges pending in criminal court.
Right.
But then if they went to the house, say the child protective investigator went to the house on a tip that there were drugs and kids in the house, well, here in Seminole County particularly, the CPIs are also deputy sheriffs.
Okay.
So if they get invited into the home under the premise of child protection, but there's
Plainview
drugs out in plain view,
right,
they now also have a criminal case that they're on.
For possession of narcotics.
Right.
Most of which, in these cases that we're talking about, are mostly felonies.
Correct.
Right, because most controlled substances in the state of Florida, other than marijuana, under 20 grams, that's a misdemeanor.
Yep.
But over 20 grams or most controlled substances without a prescription and any type of possession, that's a criminal matter in the state of Florida. Which a good time to mention that Delatour Law Firm, which is bringing you the one-on-one show, is also a criminal defense law firm. We also do mainly immigration, but we do criminal. Actually dealing with a lot of the issues that you're talking about right now. If you'd like to call us for more information, you can reach us at 407-733-0640. Our website is I might have stuck on one too many W's there, but it's delatourlaw.com. And again, we're live from Cubans on the Run here in Seminole County. Really hot topic right now. I was giving Speaker Pelosi a really hard time, and I don't mean to put you in a spot here. You don't have to be partisan one way or the other. I think I've really expressed to the audience many times that I'm I'm a staunch liberal, but I'm not a big fan of Pelosi. But maybe I got ahead of myself this week. I think I got ahead of myself because
and you're a big man to admit it.
I am. I think it was Tuesday. On Tuesday, I'm saying Pelosi's got to go, and on Wednesday she was doing a 7-hour filibuster, trying to help out DACA recipients retain their right to stay in this country. And I think it was really amazing and commendable what Speaker Pelosi did this week. I am wrong.
I'm impressed with your retraction.
I retract my previous statement, and maybe Speaker Pelosi, or former Speaker Pelosi, Minority Leader Pelosi, excuse me, she's now the Minority Leader, should stick around for the proximate future at least, while we try to sort out this issue of DACA. Government shutdown again looming. Hopefully they work that out. But let's get back to the GAL. Speaking of immigration and speaking of DACA, have you had any recent cases that involve maybe parents getting deported or kids being left behind and nobody left to fend for them?
We do. Here in Seminole County, we have about 500 kids in dependency. About a third of those, maybe less than a third, are represented by GAL. And I personally have a DACA situation going on where a family of 4, mom, dad, 2 kids, come here from Central America years ago. These children were brought here when they were toddlers at the oldest.
Okay.
So they've been here at least 10 years.
Okay.
Typical American kids, essentially. Mom had gone back to Central America several years ago, probably at least 5 years ago. Dad remained here, had a job, was working. Teacher at school suspects that there's physical abuse going on in one of the kids, calls it in. They go investigate, and they end up sheltering both of the kids.
Now, is the dad a U.S. citizen? Or
Dad is not a U.S. citizen.
He has no status either.
None of them are citizens. I don't believe yet that the kids are registered officially with DACA, so I might be calling you in for some pro bono work on that.
Okay. Okay, you're putting me on the spot live. Where I can't back down.
That's the best way to do it.
Ask the guy to do pro bono work where he's going to look like a jerk. He's going to look like a jerk if he says no live on Facebook.
So these kids are now middle school, high school age kids. They know nothing but this country.
Do they speak English?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, they're bilingual.
Actually, the better question was, do they speak any Spanish?
I believe so.
Yeah?
Because I think only Dad only speaks Spanish.
Okay, so they're bilingual. Right.
Dad is court-ordered to come to arraignment for the dependency case. He shows up to court like he should and gets arrested by ICE in our courthouse and is taken off.
Wow.
So now...
where are the kids now? Are they in foster homes?
The kids are in foster homes.
Okay.
And they have no family here.
So let's get empirical for a second. Is there any evidence to demonstrate in a situation like this that you're getting rid of mom, mom's gone,
right?
Dad's gone. I think there's a conservative argument or a Republican argument by Trumpies or Trumpers or Cheetos. I don't know how.
And I saw the arguments on Jimmy Kimmel.
Right, the Jimmy Kimmel spot this week was amazing, and a lot of what I hear is just the resentment and resentment on the behalf of people, and they indicate, they're becoming a public charge. I just venture to argue here, just for argument's sake, that if your parents are gone, you're going to be a bigger public charge to the state of Florida, at least in our state here, if you got no parents to fend for you.
Well, it's kind of ironic because if these children are now allowed to stay in the country, if they are not deported, and they are allowed to stay here and they're in the foster care system, they will automatically qualify for free tuition at state colleges and universities. Whereas had dependency ICE, had no one ever gotten involved with this family, they'd be like any other kids in this country where, find the tuition yourself.
Okay.
So it's kind of ironic that the call for deportation has actually resulted in a higher cost to the taxpayers than it would have.
Well, we're at the 15-minute mark, and we're trying to keep these shows between under 20 minutes.
Because no one wants to listen to a lawyer for more than 15 minutes.
Yeah, nobody wants to listen to a lawyer. In fact, Laura, the whole concept of the show has been to incorporate some pop culture, some food, some different things, because we found we post a video about a serious legal topic and nobody wants to listen to it.
No,
nobody clicks on it.
Even other lawyers.
Even lawyers don't want to click on it. So speaking of some pop culture and some things going on, we had the Super Bowl this past week, and Laura and I are arch rivals. She's a Buffalo Bills fan.
I'm a smart one.
Nobody's perfect. And I've grown up,
especially the Dolphins.
And I've grown up a Miami Dolphins fan, who have at least won a couple Super Bowls, albeit not.
We came in second 4 times in a row.
Second.
And we made it to the playoffs this year.
Second place is for losers. But that being said, the Dolphins haven't won a Super Bowl in my lifetime, and it doesn't look like they may anytime soon. On the topic, going back to what you were discussing about opiates, NFL players this week launched a whole Facebook social media campaign actually talking about this topic. So we've incorporated a lot today. We talked about GAL, immigration, criminal issues, and now medical marijuana. Medical marijuana is what many believe can be the solution to the opiate crisis, right?
I think that a lot of people do. I used to never believe that marijuana was a gateway drug. I have to say, from my experience in criminal and even now working with parents in dependency, I can see how it can be interpreted as a gateway drug, but I think if we properly regulate medical marijuana, it's only going to be beneficial.
Well, my understanding of the reading of the rules that are still, the legislator didn't do a good job last year, frankly. They basically tabled the issue, and we launched the first wave of dispensaries in the state of Florida basically on the skeleton that was provided by the constitutional amendment. No clear rules really outlined by the legislature. They're in session right now. And
but don't you think that was intentional to tie it up?
I think in part it was intentional by Republicans in the state legislature who are anti-marijuana.
I think it was intentional to leave the door open for counties and cities to ban dispensaries.
Yes,
which has happened.
I agree, and that has happened. So, which really would limit the availability of medicine, in this case, medical marijuana, to counties that have a more open mind about it, which usually are associated with larger municipalities. But what about people out in rural areas? They should have equal access. Well, then, theoretically, brings in an equal protection argument. And maybe we see this in the Supreme Court someday.
Yep.
Frankly, it's about time. I think that the issue is now ripe in this era of American politics, that it's probably time for the Congress, either the Congress to act at a federal level. As we know, marijuana is actually still illegal federally, but has been legislated by multiple state legislators to be legalized in the state of California, in the state of Colorado, and for medical purposes now here in the state of Florida. And I think that it's just, like you said, they're kind of throwing in roadblocks to keep it from happening. But last year's bill basically discussed that any dispensary basically has to be run by a person with pharmaceutical degrees. So this is actual pharmaceutical people who are now prescribing that OxyContin. It would be the same person that would be prescribing, or same group of professionals that would be prescribing medical marijuana, which, like I said, in the NFL players this week, Ricky Williams, a perfect case example. He played for the Dolphins. And we had that one year, we had back-to-back years. He won the rushing title, I think it was like 2002, and he was ready to really blow up on the spot and come out back-to-back years. They thought he was going to be one of the first running backs to win rushing titles back-to-back years. And there was a lot of hype, but there's always a lot of hype with the Dolphins. There was also always a lot of hype with the Dolphins. And he got suspended basically for an entire season for smoking weed, which I argue is not a performance-enhancing drug.
No.
by no, it might be an appetite-enhancing drug, but not a performance-enhancing drug.
No.
Listen, we've talked about so much. I think we could do a whole other show. I'd like to welcome you back anytime that you want to come back.
Anytime you need a spot. Anytime you want to come up to Seminole.
Everybody, Laura Klosnner from the GAL program and Guardian Ad Litem program in Seminole County.
Give us a call, 407-665-5370 if you're interested in volunteering.
All right, let's slow it down for a second because I didn't give you a proper opportunity earlier. So why don't you go ahead and repeat that phone number for the audience.
407-665-5370 for Seminole County. Or just go to guardianadlitem.org if you want to consider volunteering. You can talk to a coordinator, see if it's for you, and hopefully you'll come join me in court.
And again, we were live this week from Cubans on Vieja, plátanos maduros, yellow rice, and on my end, I ordered a medianoche, which is pretty good. Cubans are running. Lastly, one-on-one show is brought to you by the Delatour Law Firm. Again, our phone number is 407-733-0640, and our website is delatourlaw.com. You can also find us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all of the above at Facebook, Delatour Law. And I hope that you continue to follow us as next week, and I'll close with that. Next week we're gonna segue from the Cuban food and take it back to my motherland, my parents' motherland. We're going to try some Colombian food next week. We'll be live from Super Rico. Super Rico located right off of Central Boulevard, right by the Fairwinds Tower where we're located. And we're going to try some Colombian food. We're going to talk about the current state of affairs in Colombia and why many people may be immigrating now to the United States. Once again, another wave of Colombians coming due to the political situation down there. Thank you very much for joining us. Appreciate it. And we hope to see you next week.